We haven't talked about the legalities of this, but one of the outstanding questions with the SPLC story is that it seems like the FBI and the DOJ, they've uncovered this $3 million plus scheme to pay informants that were actually the leaders, the organizers of this white supremacy stuff, the KKK, the Aryan Nations, all that stuff. But they haven't charged individuals yet. And I wrote an op-ed in Fox, and I just said, listen, if we got to get accountability, like individuals that greenlit this stuff. I don't care if it's the board or the executives. People have to be held personally accountable for defrauding their donors. First of all, I think that's the easiest claim you could make. But maybe there's other things that they could go after for these executives for. What do you think should happen? What's legally feasible here?
I agree. I remember what they did here, that the Southern Poverty Law Center was telling its donors that it was fighting the Klan when it was secretly funding the Klan. There's no way these little old liberal ladies would be sending their checks to the SPLC if they knew they were funding the Ku Klux Klan and the Aryan Nations. And so you're exactly right, Andrew. There has to be, and I think there will be, a superseding indictment or an amended indictment where they name the executives and they name other individuals who were involved. This entity didn't commit the crime on its own. It was done through the people who run the entity. So that, I'd say, stay tuned on that.
Okay, that's good. Could I say that your sources have, or do you just want to leave it there? Do you have sources?
Look, I think that Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is a great American. He is bold and fearless, and he has a great team. And I have full confidence in Todd and his great team at the Justice Department.
Fair enough. I'll leave it to the audience to interpret that as they will, but I couldn't agree more with you, Mike. I think individuals that have defrauded their donors here and really just done a heinous thing, you know, fueling the hate so that they can fundraise off the hate. And, you know, and then the ideological blurring of the lines between PragerU and Turning Point and ADF, and putting us on their hate map, putting a target on Charlie's back. You know, it was 3 months and 19 days after the SPLC put Turning Point on the hate map that Charlie was assassinated. I hope that sinks in for everybody. It was 22 months after they put the Family Research Council on the hate map that their offices in D.C. got shot up. I want to ask you a question. Have you been following the Minocqua Brewing Company story? The brewery owner in Wisconsin that after the White House Correspondents' Dinner posted that really obscene post about, you know, it was almost free beer day, right? So the idea being if Trump gets assassinated, everybody gets free beer for the day at his brewing company. So he's posted something here, and it says, hi, folks. Owner Kirk here. The Secret Service and FBI have contacted me. I'm speaking with them with my lawyer, Fred, in less than an hour at Minocqua Tap Room. I encourage supporters to come if you can and make sure they don't do anything to me. If you don't hear from me, our socials tonight, something is wrong. I am of sound mind and body. I would disagree with that. And he's also pretty overweight, too much beer, and in no way thinking of harming myself. If you don't hear back from me tonight, don't believe a thing you hear from the federal government. I think this is the front line. I mean, Blake and I are even in the breaks having a discussion about free speech and understanding that in this country we have very established, you know, precedents about what is incitement to violence, right? So this guy was obviously gleefully enjoying the near assassination of our president again. That's gross and disgusting, and it must be condemned. But at what point are we at risk of blurring those lines and infringing upon his right to say gross and vile, disgusting things? For a lot of Americans, healthcare is reactive. You get sick first, then you wait for an appointment, and insurance decides what you're allowed to have. All Family Pharmacy does it differently. They let you order prescription medications before you're sick so you can keep them at home and have them ready when you need them most. Everything is done online. A licensed doctor reviews your request, and your medication ships straight to your door. They offer antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin, and access to over 300 prescription medications. This is about access and preparation. Choose freedom. Choose the right pharmacy. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk. Use code KIRK10 to save 10%.
Yeah, I mean, people have the first, and I agree with Blake on this. People have the right to say gross and vile and disgusting things. I say them every day on Twitter, as you guys all read.
By the way, follow
The
Mike
issue,
Davis on Twitter. It's a good follow. You will be entertained.
but the issue is you can't threaten the president's life. You can't.
But
That's where you cross
but
the
did
line.
he? But that's the question. So he was celebrating. He was going to reward his patrons with free beer should the president be assassinated. But I mean, listen, I find this to all be so gross and dehumanizing. I think I have a righteous indignation and a righteous anger towards this person. I think he's mentally unwell. I think he's a total scumbag. But where is the line? Like, what becomes incitement, right? Like, what becomes, what's the legal line here?
Yeah, it is. I guess I haven't read this post that carefully, but under the Supreme Court's precedent from a couple years ago, it's called true threats, meaning when you make a threat, it has to be a true threat. You have to look at their subjective intent. Did they intend to harm someone with their threat, or is it political hyperbole? And that's the line that you look at. With James Comey, I guarantee you that grand jury heard evidence that was his actual subjective intent
Sure.
to 86-47 to assassinate President Trump. And so it's really case by case. But I would just say this more broadly, that here's the bigger problem is we have a Democrat Party that promotes and celebrates political violence, including assassinations. We saw this,
That's
and it's one-sided. It's coming from one side. Republicans have a hell of a lot more guns than Democrats. With all of us own guns, we know how to use guns. We're not killing Democrats. It's one-sided violence. We saw this with now 3 assassination attempts against President Trump, an assassination attempt against Steve Scalise, Justice Kavanaugh, and Charlie Kirk, our dear friend. I mean, we have an assassination culture
Luigi
in the Democrat Party, and it's
Brian
unacceptable.
Thompson. Yeah, Luigi Mangione and Brian Thompson. Here's the actual post. I just want you to see it. It says from Minocqua Brewing Company, well, we almost got #free beer day. Either a brother or sister in the resistance needs to work on their marksmanship, or he faked another assassination to get a positive news cycle. We'll never know. Regardless, we stand at the ready to pour free beer the day it happens.
That seems to cross the line to me. When you're offering free beer if someone kills the president, the Secret Service needs to go put this guy in jail.
Blake, I know. I feel you. I feel the tension.
It's genuine. It's genuinely tough, especially with the president.
Needs to work on their marksmanship.
Because I think it obviously would be justified if you're literally offering a bounty to commit an assassination.
That's an interesting.
Commit a crime.
Yeah.
I think that's worth noting. On the other hand, I will pour out free beer to celebrate the death of someone I hate, while gross and ugly. Does that really count as it? I don't know. I'm
president.
We always have to be careful about this because we saw with Biden. We know the left very much loves to bring cases like this with a very sinister agenda.
Yeah.
And I think it has benefited us a great deal.
15 seconds.
Let me
Mike.
say this very fast. This debate's exactly the problem on the right. We're principled and nice, and the others, so we're debating principally and nicely, and the other side wants to blow off our heads.
Well, if I didn't want to be principled, I could go be a lib.
Mike Davis, Article 3 Project. Good to see you, my friend.